Hi, everybody. I am here with my amazing friend, Brittany Saxton. How are you, Brittany?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm so glad that we could finally find the time to coordinate our schedules and make this episode happen.
Absolutely. Better late than never, right?
I know, but when you have littles running around and then things happen in life and businesses, then I mean that's the point of this podcast is like life happens and motherhood happens and you can't always you can actually control nothing.
Yep.
Just like right now, like you're in a different situation than you thought you were going to be in. You have one of your littles with you. You're not even in your home. Like that is the true essence of life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, there's just some things we can't control, right? And you just got to roll with it better than
Yeah.
stressing over it because the stress definitely doesn't make it any better. So
Yeah,
just roll with it and
absolutely.
smile is
Yeah.
how I try to approach most
Yeah.
things.
So I'm so glad that you are with us today. And Brittany and I have known each other. I don't even know how long. Would you say like 7 or 8 years, maybe?
Close. Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been so long. So I knew Brittany before she had kids. So she would like watch me and what I was doing with my boys. And now here she is with her littles. And I just love to see like your evolution into motherhood and just yourself on what you are doing to help women in general. And I wanted to read this just so that we can kind of talk about what you do and kind of your journey into motherhood and how you have evolved as a person because you don't really realize how much you're going to change until you actually have kids.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Everyone
mean,
tells you all the things and you listen to some and some go out, one ear and out the other. And of course, too, I always laugh like all the things my mother said to me, and I'm just like, "Ah, it's happening."
yeah,
It's
yeah, it's happening. You're like, I tried to rebel for so long and not listen, but now I'm like, yeah, should I say you were right? I don't know. Should I
Yeah.
say
Yep,
like I'm
exactly.
still resisting. All right. But Brittany, just so you guys know that are listening or watching on YouTube, Brittany is a functional wellness coach who is helping women improve their gut health, which is so important, balance their hormones, which I feel like I'm going through that right now, manage autoimmunity, and prepare for pregnancy. Her passion is to help women feel their absolute best from the inside out. So I love all of that. And I feel like you were doing a little bit of that when we first met, and then you really jumped into coaching and creating your own brand. So how did that all like evolve for you? What made you kind of want to jump into this? Was it when you started having your kids that you were like, wait a second, like I see this need that's out there for women and pregnant women and mamas? Like talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I kind of just like start at the beginning of my
Please.
like when I really got into health and wellness. And I was an athlete growing up through high school and college. And I was always like, work out really hard, eat less. Like that's the way to do it. That's what we were told. And that caught up to me quickly. My body started to hurt, low energy, all the things. So I was like, okay, I'm in my early 20s. Like, I shouldn't feel like this, right? I'm too
Right.
young to be feeling just blah. And I worked too hard to feel like this. What is going on? So I went on my own journey and trying to figure out, what was happening with me. And I realized a lot of things. And throughout my journey, that's when I realized like I love nutrition and fitness. It like was a passion of mine. And I was able to heal my own self. And I was like, I could help others do this too. And that's when things kind of struck with me. And I started going down the coaching path, started a network marketing company. And then from there, through a lot of personal development and just like self-reflection, that's when I started to venture out on my own. And like you said, branded myself and started my own nutrition and fitness business. So it all started with, just clients coming to me for just, normal fat loss, weight loss. I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to lose 15 pounds, whatever it is. And I did a lot of that. And then I realized it goes deeper than just those 10 pounds and just, whether it's cutting calories or exercising more, what else is going on in your body that's holding you back from losing that weight, or why have you hit a plateau? And so I just took that and ran with it. Got my certifications, educated myself, and I still educate myself every day, constantly taking new mentorships and classes and things to learn about all the things health related. And so now here I am today, just diving a little bit deeper with women, taking it to that next level for them to figure out, what's going on inside their bodies. What can we improve? What can we change to just help them feel better? Like you said, from the inside out. So,
Yeah.
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, because it is like, we were in the same network marketing company together. And, so many times when we were coaching, people to like lose the weight, like it's really not about the food. Like it's so much deeper because it's really mental. Like there is an emotional tie to something that is going on that is holding you back. Do you find that as well? Or like, what do you find is like one of the biggest challenges that women come to you for that's like not surface level, like I want to lose 10 pounds, but like, do you find it's their mindset? Do you find like it is gut health, hormonal? Like, is it depending on the age group that you work with? What would you kind of find is one of the biggest struggles that you are dealing with right now when women come to you?
Yeah, mindset for sure. Absolutely. I think that's probably the biggest roadblock for a lot of people. And I went through it myself because, I thought eating less and working out more was the answer. And that's what most women think. And some still doing it today. And a lot of us, depending on how old you are, right? If you've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, your body, it's stressed out essentially,
Yeah.
right? You've worked it really hard, and it's hard to transform and like shift your mindset from that, like, oh, work harder, eat less, to actually eat more, work out less, right?
Yeah.
So I work with a lot of women trying to help them understand that we don't have to go super hard in the gym 7 days a week. And we don't have to cut our calories 12 months out of the year, right? There's better ways to do it. So yeah, it's really hard to for women to make that shift and realize like, oh, what I've been doing all this time isn't the right way, right?
Right. I
And there
know.
are times and seasons of your life where you want to work out more and work out harder, or you are going to go into that caloric deficit, but it's not something we want to do 12 months out of the year. So to summarize that, yes, I would say mindset and people's relationship with food and exercise is a huge piece of my work.
Yeah.
Really undoing a lot of stuff that we've heard and learned over the years and what we thought was serving us. And unfortunately now, as we get a little bit older, we realize, okay, my body's hurting.
Yeah.
I got to
So
do things differently now.
yeah. So when you have people, one of your things is maybe working with people that, are trying to get pregnant. So, this podcast is mainly for moms, women listening to this. So what kinds of things would you say you work on, or you have people kind of look at in their lifestyle, I would say, because it's not just one thing, I would say it's a lifestyle for them to help maybe get themselves ready for pregnancy, mentally, physically, all those things. What do you kind of, work with on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say it's similar to what I work with clients who aren't trying to prepare for a pregnancy, because I focus on foundations of health, and those being sleep, mindset, stress, the quality of food, hydration, and movement. And so those are my big things that I focus on with all clients, whether they're trying to manage an autoimmune, trying to prepare for pregnancy. But for moms specifically, if they are trying to get their body in a good place for pregnancy, sleep is the number one thing I look at. Especially because once you get pregnant and you have that baby, that's, not going to get too much of that. But I will say, because I've had 2 good sleeping babies, moms listening, it's not definite that you're not going to get sleep. It is a possibility that you can get a good sleeping baby. So don't be scared of it.
There's a chance.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I think sleep is a huge thing because so much happens when we sleep, right? That's when our body's able to recover. We're able to eliminate toxins. I won't go too deep into the science and all that, but sleep is a really big thing. The mindset, which we hit on, and stress. I think stress, we're all stressed. We're all stress balls in the world we live in today. And obviously we can't completely eliminate stress, but we can definitely minimize it and just learn to manage it better. So I work with women on how can they manage that stress, right? Without going too far into, like a therapy conversation with my clients. But one of my favorite tools is journaling, and using that journal however it feels good to you, because like I might like to brain dump and write affirmations every day, where for you, you might like gratitude statements, or you have a different way of journaling, right? And I truly believe there's no one right way to journal. And I really just encourage my clients to try a couple different things and see what feels good to them. But brain dumping is my favorite for stress and managing it, because I think we hold so much in our head, and it just allows us to get it all out and kind of let it go.
I know what it is, but what's brain dumping for people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm not sure what she's talking about.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what I consider a brain dump, and people may use it differently, is I get out a blank piece of paper, whether it's a journal, blank piece of paper, and I just write down everything I'm thinking, like personal, business, kid, whatever, like just let it all go out on paper. And it's just such a relief. Because I truly believe that we're just holding in our head. You're just constantly circling in your mind, thinking about all the things. So it's just a way of like letting it go. And then sometimes I'll take it a step further and organize that brain dump into like a to-do list, or, whatever it might be. But it's super helpful for sure. And I just find that when my clients do that, they just feel relief, like they've lifted something off their back, just letting things go a little bit. So that's a huge one. So yeah, the stress I think is big, and going back to like, we can't control everything. So, if we can't control it, can we control how we react to it? I think is huge, and has helped me in my journey. I used to kind of freak out about a lot of things. And over the years, especially since becoming a mother, I realized like, I don't want my kids to see me freaking out or getting stressed, because they're going to end up stressed. And I will say, and I commend myself for this, and I don't like to like celebrate myself a lot. I think we all have trouble doing that, but we all should celebrate ourselves more. In that I made a really good point to like stay calm and do things for myself to have a healthy pregnancy. So to manage my stress, making sure I'm getting plenty of sleep. And I swear to this day, both my girls are really calm, happy babies. I like to believe that it is part of like what I did throughout my pregnancy. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, I truly believe in that they can sense, what's going on, especially when you're carrying them for 9 months.
Yeah. I mean, they're attached to you. So, you know, you are the biggest influence on them, obviously, because you're creating them in your body, even though you're not doing anything, you are, doing anything without even realizing you're doing anything, and you're just being, which is so beautiful. So, the stress is really important. I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. So, to counter that, how the heck, you're talking about sleep being like one of the number one things. How can a mom manage how much sleep she's getting? Like, she's so busy. She's up with the kids. She's up late. She's doing all the things. Like, how do you coach or talk to moms, especially about like, make sure you're getting your sleep when she's like, are you crazy, Brittany? What are you talking about?
Yeah, don't have time for that, right? I find one of the biggest things is we rob ourselves of the sleep because of our nighttime routines, right? Like I get like at night, once the kid's down, there's like, you want to clean up the house, maybe get the lunches ready, have time to yourself. You have all these things you want to do when they get down. But I know so many of us are guilty of picking up that phone and scrolling and being on the phone. And then we're really quick to say, I have no time, or I can't get to sleep. I'm having trouble sleeping. When we're not, getting away from those devices at night and doing that digital detox before bed, it really does have a negative impact on us. It's not setting us up for a good night's sleep. So I think that's what I uncover with a lot of moms. And if we take that out of the equation, they're like, oh, wait, I have more time to do a couple things around the house. I have more time to maybe read. I haven't read in so long. I do really enjoy that. I picked up a book again, or I got a nice hot shower. But I would say that, yeah, the biggest thing is either turning off the TV or putting the phones down. It can be the biggest relief for a lot of moms. And we don't even realize it. Like a lot of us are like, oh, that's how we wind down, is getting on our phones and scrolling social media. We like to think we're winding down. We're not. We're taking in all this information from social media. And a lot of us obviously get into the horrible thing of comparison. And then you're getting these negative thoughts in your head right before you go to bed. So I would say the biggest thing is digital detox for night to help set yourself up for a better sleep and give yourself back more time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, because there's so much research behind it too. You can just go Google it, like the electronics before you go to bed and how it just keeps your brain waves moving, and then it takes even longer to go to sleep. So do you recommend like a certain amount of time? Like, do you say like an hour to 2 hours before you go to bed is like recommended? That would be great. But whatever you
Obviously,
do.
like ideally, yeah, 1 to 2 hours, but let's be realistic. I'm very realistic when working with my clients and just talking to friends and family. Like, you're probably not going to do an hour. And if you are on your phone, like right up until you go to bed, let's just start with 5 minutes and
Yeah.
then get it to 10, like those small increments, and let it add up, over time. I just find that what I like to call like habit stacking. Like if I tell someone you need to drink more water, but you also need to eat better food and all these things, like just start with one and go from there. And same with the digital detox, just start with a small and, take it up from there to make it
Yeah.
easier and less overwhelming. Because if I tell someone, all right, you got to cut your phone off an hour before bed, and they're used to putting it down right before they go to bed, it's probably going to work for a couple nights and then it's not. So if we can start small and go from there is really
Yeah.
cool.
Right. So I would love to know, because we do have moms listening too that are entrepreneurs, or they work outside of the home, they work for somebody else. Some people work inside the home, which you work inside the home, and then you have two littles. What are their ages of your kids again?
Yep. Hazel will be 7 months next week and Sienna's 2.5.
Okay, so 2.5 and then 7 months. So, they still need you a lot. Like, they can't just go hang out by themselves or go play outside. You have to be there. How are you managing it as a mom with two littles at home that still need you so much? You're running a business. Then you're also coaching people, trying to keep up with social media. You're married. You're going to be building a new house sometime. Like, what, I'm sure so many moms can relate to that. So sometimes, like, we go and we coach people, and then sometimes, like, I'm not talking about you, but like, then we don't listen to our own advice. We're like, oh my God, like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even listening to it. But I would love for you to like share, how are you doing it, for yourself? And it could be like, it changes every day, but like, what's working for you right now that you would say is really, really good?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like this can go so many ways. But I'll just talk about what's working now
Yeah.
because it changes. And that's one thing I will say to everyone, be okay with change. We go through these different phases and seasons of life, that what is happening now may not be happening a month from now. And if we can just be more open to that and that adjustment, it definitely makes it much easier. And that's obviously been huge for me since having a newborn and now going from 1 to 2 kids. I've had to be open to change and understanding that, hey, it's not going to be like it was when you just had one kid or before you had kids. So
Yeah.
I think that's something to definitely take away. But I hired a business coach about a year ago, and she was just super helpful because not only do I have my nutrition and fitness business, I also work for my father's HVAC business too. And then all the other things you said, all the other pieces we have going on. So I was a multitasker. It was like, I was trying to do, work for my dad, check in with my clients, and every day that was like trying to do a little bit of that every day. And she really helped me realize, and I hope this may help someone else too, is split up your days. So like, Monday is dad's business day. Tuesday is like your client check-in day. Wednesday is your content creation, like your social media, your newsletters, all that, right? So that has been super helpful in breaking up my days versus trying to do everything all in one day.
Yeah.
Huge relief for me. I like can't even describe like how much more productive and efficient I am by just focusing on like one thing at a time. So that's been super helpful. I have dealt with some serious mom guilt and work guilt because when I do have the girls at home and I'm trying to work, it's very hard because if I'm working, I feel that I'm not with them. If I'm with them, I feel like I should be working. So I finally, like Ricky and I sat down and I was like, just like you get to go to your office and not have any distractions, like I need that because it's so hard and it hurts like when you have this horrible guilt. So it came down to like asking for more help. And so we did hire a nanny for Mondays. Fortunately, now Sienna's in school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we have mother-in-law help Tuesday, Thursday with Hazel. So a big thing there is asking for help and not being afraid to. It was really hard for me to bring someone, a stranger, into our home to be with the girls on Monday when it used to be me and the girls and I would just like work in between. But it's been so helpful. So asking for help, try and do away with the multitasking has been really helpful for me too. And then also just having boundaries. Like at 2:00 on Mondays. The nanny leaves at 2:30. So I leave my dad's office at 2, get home by 2:30. Like I'm done working at 2. Like I have to, it's a hard cutoff. It's hard to do that because I want to get home and do other stuff for my business, but my girls are there and they're not always going to be this young. They're not always going to be home with me. So I've really had to set some firm boundaries with myself so that I can enjoy time with them. So with that being said, I've definitely relieved myself of the work guilt and the mom guilt by setting boundaries, asking for more help, and just scheduling my days out a little bit better than I had before.
Yeah, I know. It's so, I mean, that's so wonderful. I mean, I went through exactly the same thing, like when the boys were little and I was running a business from home, and we didn't have the restaurant at that time, but it was like, then I was president of the Moms Club, and I just wrote a post on this, and it's all the different things that you're doing. And, asking for help is seen as, or we make it up in our head that we think if I ask for help, that shows I don't have it together and I'm not a good mom. If I can't handle everything that we've listed before and all the other things that like you don't see, that invisible checklist going off in your head at all times. And it's like, nope, I got it. I'm good. I'm good. And that is why it's just like the super mom facade has like got to be dropped, because like that is like harming us so much, and mothers, and thinking that like, oh, you have to be a super mom and you can do it all. It's like, no, you can't. Like no mom is doing it all. Like she's asking for help. She's got a cleaner. She's got a nanny. Like she's making like sharing time with her husband as she should. You know what I mean? Where it's like, everything doesn't have to be on her. She doesn't have to do all the cooking. She doesn't have to do all the cleaning. And, we have to get rid of that asking for help makes you weak, or that you don't have it together, because that is the greatest gift for you, to ask for help. And then for whoever you're asking help from, because so many times they want to be able to help you. They just don't know how, because you act like you've got it all together, or they've asked and you're like, no, I'm good. So they stop asking.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it like you said, the whole, going back to like the social media comparison, like I see other moms, I'm like, oh, they're doing it all. They're working from home, but still doing this. Again, we have to remember those are just highlights. We're not seeing the behind the scenes, and we can think all we want that they have it together. They most likely don't. And that's definitely something, since becoming a mom in the last 2.5 years, I've had to become better with and understand, like, no one has it all together. And it's okay if you don't. Like I was making Sienna's lunches every day, for the first month and a half, and I probably haven't made her lunch like the last 2 weeks, and Ricky has, and I started to feel bad. And it's like, it's okay. You can, this morning, I actually told myself, you cannot do it all. And so, it's just another reminder, you do what you can. And it is so okay to ask for help, for sure. We're not, like you said, we are not weak for asking for help. It definitely takes a village.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, because I do remember for a while you were posting on Instagram like, oh, the breakfast or lunches that you were sending for her for school.
Yeah.
Because it is like, I look at you and I'm like, oh my God, like look at all the things that she's doing, and she's these great lunches, and it's also healthy. And it's just like, yeah, but like, it's not always like that. You know what I mean? Like this is the good day. This is the good day, the good meal. Like who knows what the heck else is going on, because you think, or I don't know about you, but like, I thought I was going to do all these things, and I was going to breastfeed, and then I wasn't going to feed him any junk, and I was going to do this, and I was not going to do that. And it was going to be all organic, and I was going to make all these things. And I was like, yeah, I cannot physically do that and be sane, because I'm finding zero joy in this, creating these meals or mushing things up or whatever it was. And I was like, can't do it. I tried, and it's just not for me. And that's okay. And I think it's so important for moms to realize, like, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. If it doesn't work for you, that's totally cool. Like you have to figure out what works for you. Or if you try it and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you're a failure as a mom. Like you tried it, cool, didn't work, awesome, move on. No big deal.
Exactly. You've got to do what aligns with you and feels good and keeps you happy. And like you said, keeps you sane. And, just because it works for another mom may not work for you. And that's why I love like asking not opinions, but getting feedback from other moms. Like, how did you do this? Or how did you do that? Because I want to hear all the different ways on how to do things. And then I can take it, do trial and error, and see what works for me.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people can be weird about like getting opinions or feedback from moms and thinking they know it all, but it's not that. I really enjoy it because I'm like, there's no right or wrong way, right? Like it's really what works for you, and you kind of figure that out as you go. And that's something I've learned too,
Yeah.
for sure. Like you just kind of figure it out as you go, and
Yeah.
depends on
Absolutely.
the kid too.
Yeah.
Um, and something you said made me think of like, oh yeah, just like being able to do it all, or like wanting to make all organic meals and do all the things like, toxicity is like a big topic right now, right? I feel like, and people are trying to have, less toxic things in their home. And I work on some of that with my clients. Just a note there, like, you can't be completely toxic free. We just don't live in that world, and you would go insane trying to make your home completely toxic free. So if that is something like you're interested in doing, take it one thing at a time. Like if your shampoo runs out, okay, go try and find that toxic free shampoo. And then if it's toothpaste next, but like one thing at a time. And just like with like what you said, you can't do it all. So I just feel like on the wellness topic, stuff, that's a big one right now. And just do what you can,
Yeah.
basically, and take it a little bit at a time.
Yeah. And just, I always think like trust your intuition. And, I also think like you can't trust everything you read online.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing too.
You cannot, because they're like, when my kids were little, it wasn't as much as it is now. Like Facebook, Instagram, like that wasn't even a thing. I didn't even get on Facebook, like, cause I'm like, I'm resisting everything. I was like, I can't do one more thing. And so, I didn't even jump on right away. And then it's like, everyone has to be on, but then there's so much information everywhere, which is like that going to sleep. Well, you can't, because you're like, now I'm addicted and now I have to look at this and the next thing and the next thing. And you go down the rabbit hole. But like, you also have to be aware and be cautious, and also trust the source of where you're getting your information, because things can be so misleading. So just trust yourself, or go to a trusted site, or go to a trusted source where you're actually getting your information to, because there is so much information out there. You think that this is good, and then you're like, shit, I was duped.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. We're in a world of information overload for sure. And more of a reason to do the brain dumps. Get that out of get stuff out of your head.
Yeah, it is. It's so
lot
much.
to
But
take in.
oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something
No,
else?
I just said it's a lot to take in.
Yeah. Back on the wellness note, because I would love to know, I'm in my 40s, so I'm a little bit older than you. I'm getting ready to turn, well, by the time this episode comes out, I will be 45. So because my birthday right now is in 2 weeks. So by the time this comes out, I will be 45. So happy birthday
Early
to me.
birthday.
Thank you.
You'll look a day over 40.
Thank you. Is that a compliment, or is no?
Yes. Well, I could say like 30 too. Like you look amazing, and it's because you've taken care of yourself. So
yeah. But I wanted to talk about the hormones because, for myself, so you are a little bit younger than me. You're in your 30s, and so I'm in my 40s. And so, things start to change. And I'm never a person that is like, oh my God, as soon as you hit 40, or as soon as you hit this number, everything falls apart. I'm not like, forget that. Like, I will be 60 and I'll still be like this. Like, it's cool, ladies. But there is the realization that yes, internally, like your body is changing. There are things happening hormonally, like my teenage boys, hormones going crazy. Like, things are going on with me too. Like, what do you talk about as far as like hormones with women? I would be really curious about that. Or is there any like light that you can kind of shed for the women listening?
yeah, this is a big topic, and there's a lot that we could talk about. So I'll try and like keep it simple. We'll go high level. Yeah. And it's funny because like you're talking about being in your 40s, right? And obviously a lot changes. It's crazy. Like if there's any, younger women listening, like even in your 20s, because that's when I realized like just how important hormone health is, and how much of an impact your nutrition and your exercise has on it. Because what I was doing, working out 6-7 days a week, doing a ton of cardio and eating probably 1,200 calories or less, often, I lost my period. And I'm like, that's where it was like a big thing for me. Like, I'm too young. This doesn't seem right. And actually for a while, I was like, oh, I don't have a period. Great. This is wonderful. Until like it hit that this is not healthy at all. Right. So I think with hormones, I'm trying to think of where I want to go with this. Looking for signs, right? So like if things are off in your body, if you're having symptoms, if you have low energy, you're not sleeping well, you're having digestive issues, mood changes, right? If there's acne happening, like there's so many things that could be coming to the surface.
Mhm.
And we may not think like, oh, something's going on with our hormones, right? And two, like also if you have like high blood sugar or like pre-diabetic, things like that, like this is all coming back to hormones, especially like with cortisol. So just I think being really aware and being in tune with yourself and the things you're feeling. If you start to feel off, start to like track your patterns, whether it's in a notebook, in your phone, but start to take note of what's happening, day to day, and when maybe your energy feels the lowest, or if you're constipated when that's happening. What is your stress levels like the day that you didn't have a bowel movement? Like there's so many things that can go into this, but I think just being aware of your body and truly like becoming in tune with it and listening to it is going to be super helpful to see if, is there anything going on, inside, and are my hormones a little imbalanced or dysregulated, whatever word you want to use there. And also then you can get blood work. That's a great, easy way to figure out like, where are things at? Where are my markers at? But yeah, without going too deep, I think just starting with, and I'm sure if you're looking into your hormones more and trying to figure things out, I'm sure you have gotten some blood work and, have reviewed it with a doctor. But I would say that's like a good starting point, is listening to your body and seeing like what symptoms you have, what's showing up for you, and seeing if there's, any patterns that are happening.
Yeah. And I would say too, how do I want to word this? So yes, there are different types of doctors that are out there. And so a doctor might say, hey, I'm going to do your blood work. Let's look at this. But like some things that might be hormonal might not show up in a basic like blood work. They might be looking for cholesterol and things like that. So if you really want to look at your hormones, because this is what I'm going through now with someone who is a naturopath, is really looking at, let's do some blood work, but really look at your hormone levels, because if you are having issues in different things, like it might be changing this up or looking at this, or maybe having some kind of supplement that really is for what's going to work for your body and what you need. Because you and I have both been in the supplement world too. Like not every supplement's going to work for everyone. And there's not every supplement is going to work for your body or what your body needs. And your body might not, use it correctly. So I think, for the women listening too, it's like, it's knowing your body. It's trying different things. It's advocating for yourself too.
Yep.
And how you are feeling, because you know your body best. Like, I don't feel the same way that I did before, or just things aren't working the way that they did. And, I know after the 2-year pandemic of us, like, I feel like everything changed. People weren't moving their body as much. We're stuck at home, emotions, stress, all that stuff raised and lowered. And, the anxiety of like, do I have a job? Will I have a job? Will my kids be in school? Now what's happening? I feel like there probably is going to be some kind of study come out about how everything shifted. And maybe more sickness is coming from that. Not COVID, but, just other sicknesses, mental health and stuff like that. So I would just say, just advocate for yourself, and know yourself. And I love the suggestion of like journaling and really making note of that. And like, what was I eating, and how, what was happening in my home, and who was I around? And, did I wake up in night sweats or whatever those things are? And just really, was I drinking coffee that day? Like all these little things that you're like, it's just what I do every day. It's like, yeah, but it builds up.
Yeah, no, I love everything you said there. And I'll go back to the blood work real quickly, because I'm short. So Melissa is seeing a naturopath doctor, functional doctor, integrative doctor. They have a lot of interchangeable names. So when you go to get blood work, say at LabCorp or wherever, they are going to base that on like conventional markers, right? Versus functional, which you're seeing a functional doctor. And what I mean by that, like with the conventional markers, their markers are based off of, their ranges are based off of a sick, unhealthy population. Whereas when we look at it from a functional point of view, and what I do with my clients and my mentors is they're basing it off of a more healthy population. So the ranges are going to get a little bit smaller, and they're looking for the optimal, right? The optimal. So like from the conventional side, it may look good, but then if you go look at it from a functional point of view, might be like, actually, it's not so good. So I love that you brought that up, just because we sometimes do need to take it a step further. And that takes a lot of advocating for ourselves, for sure. So yeah, that's a really good point there. I just wanted to hit on that a little bit more, because I
Yeah.
think that's super important for people to know. Because I know my clients have come to me and they're like, my doctor said my blood work's fine, I'm good. And then I take a look and I'm like, we could,
Yeah.
there's some things we could look at here, because obviously you're feeling off, because you always still want to go back to, even your blood work may look normal, right? But if you still aren't feeling right, then something's going on. So we need
Right.
to, figure that out and dig a little bit deeper to see what's going on. So I think
Right.
that's huge. I'm forgetting what else you said now. Sorry, I got caught up in that, but I agree. Like you said, there's just been so much that has happened in the last 2 years, and, a lot of stress. And I think that plays such a huge role in where we are at today, is the stress, and just finding ways to manage it can
Yeah.
go so far, for sure. And there's so many different ways to manage stress, and it just depends what brings you joy and helps you calm down. I remind my clients a lot, like, think about when you were a kid or a teenager, or just even 5, 10 years ago, something you did that brought you joy that you no longer do. Like, think about that and start doing that again. Because I think we like kind of forget about certain things, and then we're like, oh wait, I really enjoy doing that. So like bringing that back into your life. And that could be a multitude of things, because we all enjoy different things, but
Yeah, absolutely. I always look at the time because I'm like, oh my
okay.
God, we could be talking forever.
Yeah,
And then
you
we're like
could.
2 hours
Yeah.
later. Crap. But is there anything you have shared so much information today, like great nuggets. Is there anything that you haven't shared, or anything that you feel is on your heart, maybe that you want to share with the listeners?
Yeah. So just because I'm a wellness coach, and nutrition and fitness is what I'm doing every day with my clients, and helping them, I just want to go like touch on like dieting and that. We've all done the fad diets, the quick fix diets. We see our best friend doing something, so we try it, all the things, right? So if you are like considering trying a diet, or you have some health and wellness goals that you want to achieve, I would love for you guys to take it a day at a time, take it a thing at a time. So instead of trying to go from nothing to doing it all, from 0 to 100, from not eating well, not exercising, to trying to exercise 4 times a week, to eating all the right foods, cutting out all these things, just do one thing at a time, right? Like, so maybe it's you just start walking, and now you're going to start including more veggies in your diet, and then protein. So I kind of said it earlier, but like the habit stacking and taking the slower route, which will be frustrating at times because results will come slower. It's just so much more sustainable that way. And I just have found, it's so much better that way for people versus doing these quick fix, these, fad diets to get short-term results, but then losing them. So the slower you take it, the more sustainable it's going to be. And you're going to get short-term results, but you're also going to get long-term results, which I think is just huge, and just something I'm always working with my clients on. And that goes back to a huge mindset shift, because we're used to we want to see results in like 2 weeks, 30 days, right? But if we take a step back and we can appreciate going a little bit slower, the results are going to be amazing, and it's going to be worth the journey for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people listening will take that and be like, oh, thank you for giving me permission to do that.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to be all in, all out. Just like find that middle ground, find what works for you, what aligns with you, and what leaves you feeling good day to day, for sure. But just like we've talked about this whole time, is we can't do it all. So even if it's just one thing a day that you do for yourself that is going to have a positive impact on your health, that's better than doing nothing at all.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do a gotcha, because my last question is always,
Okay.
as women don't celebrate ourselves enough. So my question for you, Brittany, is what do you absolutely just love about yourself right now?
Yeah, no, this is great. And I said earlier, right, that we don't celebrate ourselves enough. So I
Yep.
love this question. I just, gosh, this is good. I love it. I think what I love about myself right now is just being able to be present with my children, while also growing this business that is impacting many women and men, because I do work with men sometimes too. So just being able to do both of these things right now and do it successfully. And not every day is successful, but it's successful overall, and we're getting there. My kids are thriving and I'm thriving and my business is thriving. So I'm super proud of what I've been able to accomplish in the last 2.5 years since having children.
Awesome. And I mean, you're still married too. I mean,
yes. I can't forget about my amazing husband who
you're still married.
Without him, this would not be possible, because we have serious teamwork and he plays a huge role in all of this. So yes, thank you for Ricky. Love you.
Yeah, no, it is. It's all that teamwork. You know what I mean? It is.
Exactly.
And fortunately, like, you do have an amazing, husband and support system. And, it is, just being able to utilize them in a way, because sometimes, like, our partners, especially, if it's like a female male relationship, like, the female is always breastfeeding and she's like the one that the kids need. So sometimes, like, the husband can feel like a little bit on the outside, like, well, what do I do to help out here? Because you got it all, right? Yep. So just making sure that you're utilizing, your spouse and significant other, because most of the time, I mean, I'm sure there's times that they don't, but most of the time, like, they do want to feel useful and they do want to feel like they're part of this whole, like, unit together. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you for that. He deserves a huge shout out.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. And I can't wait for you guys to live down here so that I can see more.
We'll be neighbors enough.
Yay. Tell everyone how they can find you. I'm sure they're going to want to look you up and follow you on social and stuff.
Yep. So I am most present on Instagram. So I'm sure you're going to share these in the podcast notes, but Britt Saxton Nutrition. My website's brittanysaxton.com. I'm also on Facebook, and I have a free community on Facebook called the Mindful Body Balance. So lots of, nutrition tips, recipes, workouts, all the things in there. And then I'll share this with you, but I have a weekly text message. It's completely free that goes out every Wednesday morning. And again, it's just inspiration, motivation. It's a tip, some type of education. And I have found that my audience has been loving them, because I feel like Wednesday midweek is where you can kind of start to, not feel so great. And that gives them a little, push, wakes them back up midweek and encourages them to keep, powering through the rest of the week. So
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. And I'll make sure everything gets in the show notes. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.